I figured I'd do a little evening vlog tonight, old school with a Sony. I got the battery charging on the Canon, and I need to empty the memory card. Anyway, I've been collecting parts for this. It's starting to get fuller and fuller in here, if that's even a word. But start putting some of this stuff on, and I got some more fittings out for the fuel system. I have to get one more roll of half-inch aluminum line. We're going to do a return style regulator on this instead of a deadhead, because I'm driving on the street, and it'll keep the fuel system a lot cooler. And took the transmission down to FTI. I should get it back. I don't know when. They're going to do it for free, so I'm not in any hurry. Sort of sponsoring the transmission portion of this project, and I do appreciate it. So that's cool. I'm going to go with the 400 in here, and we're going to fix the 350 with a training brake and save that for another project. This converter is pretty good. I've used it quite a bit. They want to cut it in half and upgrade the pad system on it, where it mounts to the flywheel. They weld a plate on the back of the converter shell now and incorporate the threads in the plate, and it keeps the pads from falling off. I've had the pads break a couple times. That converter's worked really well for me. It's probably about a 3200 stall, and I've tranny braked it to death, so it won't hurt to cut it open and look inside. So I'm cleaning up the bench over here, and getting ready to build the 2110 for the bus. I have to throw together this 1776. I'm going to build the short block real quick, and I've got the rods laid out. I've got the crank laid in the stand. I've got a cam over there. I got some bearings. I got to pick up an oil pump, a gasket kit, and cam gear, and that should complete the short block. And I'll decide what to do with that motor, whether I buy piston cylinders and heads. I can't seem to find any heads right now. So, and the 2110 is in that cart, so I want to get it out of the cart, get it laid out, and make sure I have everything for that. I think I have most all the components for that. And I was going to put that in the blue car, but I'm going to throw it in the bus. I'm trying to avoid doing a 2J swap in my bus, trying to make it more fun to drive, but I think I'm going to be pretty limited because of the tranny with this setup. But me and Hans have been kicking around a JDM swap mid-engine, and I was thinking about putting a bed in the bus anyway, and I could mount it all underneath that and hang some sort of rear end back there, get it narrowed up, fit the bus, and my son's into it, so I might let him do that, have some fun. And I was telling one of my friends about it, and he said it'd kill the resale value of the bus, and I told him that nobody's buying the bus anyway, so that's the one thing I'll probably hold on to. There's another fitting. I was watching Robbie's video, I think it was today or yesterday. My brain sort of scrambled, but he was working on his fuel system, installing a regulator, and I wanted to make a little comment in here about where he put it on the manifold. And let me put you on the stand here, hang on a minute. So I'm no expert. I'm not paid by Holley or anything, but I have used Holley carburetors for a long time. Not very good with the Edelbrocks like Ryan likes, but I can do Holleys. So here's a brand new fuel pressure regulator. It doesn't look like it because I like to make my stuff look used, you know, before I use it. So it's been kicking around in the shop, the bottom half, and the top still looks brand new because it's been in the Holley box here. But anyway, this is a regulator, and what we do with these for the Volkswagens, because we're nuts, is we tap the top of it and put a boost reference port up here. And as the boost comes in, it increases the fuel pressure to the regulator. So that's why this is all torn apart. That's why I just got all this Holley crap everywhere. But anyway, here's the spring that's in the diaphragm, and it basically goes like so. This part of the spring sits like that. I don't know if I'm getting that in the camera or not, but you have the diaphragm, you have the spring, and then you have this cap that goes over the top. And then it bolts onto the bottom here. And those springs are very sensitive to heat. So if you mount this onto your intake manifold where there's a lot of temperature in the motor, what can happen is it can cause the springs to get funny in the heat. You know, they lose their tension, and your car will get a rich condition at idle when it's warm. So if you start experiencing something like that, you might want to think about moving the regulator off the intake manifold. The other spring in these is super tiny, and it's underneath this ball here, and that spring can also be affected by heat. So anytime I use these regulators, I try to mount them either up off the motor pretty far from the heat, insulate them with a piece of aluminum, or just mount your fuel regulator off to the side of the motor, firewall, something like that, and you'll have better luck with it. I just thought I'd give you that little tip. So anyway, throw that back in the file. I think this is out of the box because it doesn't fit in there. And yeah, what was I doing? Laying out the 2110. I like to get sidetracked in my videos. I haven't made a real long video in a while anyway, and just talk to you guys. So yeah. So I don't know how many of you guys watch Ed of the North. I like Ed of the North videos. I don't comment on them enough, and a lot of the times I don't comment on people like Ed of the North's videos because I'm really not intelligent enough to respond to the video that they make. However, it doesn't mean that I don't watch them. And I watched his last couple of videos, and I know some of my subscribers don't like these kind of videos, but you can't make videos that everybody likes all the time, so you have to make some unpopular videos. From time to time, when I figured I would just tell my story on how I got back into trying to read the Bible and to God. And unlike Ed and a lot of guys that are into theology, I've never been trained in that, although I have found myself surrounded by people that are into it. I had a partner that was went to college to become a priest, and we had some really good conversations. And I wanted to comment on Ed's last video he put up, but I talked into my phone, and the comment just became too long to retype, and sometimes I'm just lazy. So I thought it was interesting. He was talking about understanding the scripture and reading it, and I was forced to go to church when I was younger, like a lot of you probably were, and I got nothing out of it. I went to church 3 times a week, and I didn't really see the point of it, and I didn't have my heart open to it, not even a little bit. I just wanted to do other things with my time. I'd like to make this video with my mom, but I can't do that right now because she's not here. So she's still here, but she's not here. But I can remember one instance. We were on the Palmetto Expressway in Miami, and we were heading towards home from some trip. I didn't grow up with a dad. I did a lot of things with my mom and my sister, and we always did things on the weekend. So we're coming back from the adventure, whatever it was, and we had a Volkswagen. We grew up with Beetles. and I was leaning between the two seats, telling my mom how I didn't want to go to church Sunday morning, because I just went on Friday. And as I was telling her that I didn't want to go to church, a car slammed into the concrete barrier in the oncoming lane, and she slapped me with a Hot Wheel track and told me that I would be going to church, to sit back down, and that was a message from God. And lately I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube about people denouncing God, saying that he's not real and that you shouldn't give him the glory when you have success. And I think God's not only responsible for your success, I think that he's in part responsible for our failures too. And funny thing is I told you I went to church 3 times a week. Really didn't get into it too much. My uncle was pretty involved in the church, and I was expected to act a certain way, and I didn't act a certain way. You know, I was a pretty bad kid. Did a lot of rotten things, and I've done a lot of things that I'm not proud of, and I've learned a lot of hard lessons from the road, the hard road. And it was really funny, before I found God and before I knew that God was real, even though I went to church 3 times a week, I would read the Bible from time to time and I just didn't get it. It was a bunch of words that really didn't mean a whole lot to me. And I never found God through reading the scripture, and I never really got it. However, God works in mysterious ways. And I was first introduced to the devil. And a lot of you will laugh, and I will tell you 100%, Satan is real. And he's around us all the time. And if you don't believe that, I'm sorry for you, because he will appear in your darkest times. And I experienced that first. And about 10 years passed. I didn't go to church. I was living sort of dirty, and there wasn't a lot good going on in my life. And I remember doing a lot of praying for a wife, believe it or not. Some of you guys are laughing at this, but I wanted somebody to do stuff with and share my life with and do other stuff than car things, because I was pretty involved in the car thing. And that's doesn't always bring you the happiness in your life, you know. It usually takes another person. And lo and behold, although I didn't have a lot of girlfriends, all of a sudden I found myself in a relationship with 3 women at one time. Things can get pretty complicated with 3 girlfriends. 2 of them were roommates. And Andrea happened to be one of the roommates. And after going through a lot of rough times, I decided that Andrea would be the best person for me, because she loved me and she took care of me, and she was different than a lot of the women that I'd gone out with. Can't say why I chose to be with her, but I picked her. And I met Andrea at a stoplight, believe it or not. She pulled up next to me at a stoplight, and it all started from there. 25 years ago, we've been married. Pretty happily married. We've had a lot of good times together. We've been through some really shitty times too. I'm going to talk about the shitty times now. First, 2006, I do believe, maybe 09. I have a bad memory issue. I got in a car accident. I was driving to work. I worked at probably one of the best body shops in Orlando, Diaz Auto. I was fixing 911 Porsches and BMWs and Rolls Royces and badass cars. Still living dirty though, real dirty. And I was stopped at a stoplight, and a car hit the back of my car, or it actually hit a car behind me. and drove that car into my car. And I was driving a Mercedes 300 SD diesel. I was a Mercedes guy, and it knocked the engine and transmission out of the car, and started the cascade of bullshit that I'm dealing with now. I was in bed for quite a while after that. I was having a procedure done at the doctor's, and they dropped me off the table and knocked my front teeth out and broke my nose. Still living dirty. And I got through that, and I was healing up from that, and decided that I would, in a drug-induced state, go down to the warehouse where my wife had her business, the Matrix dealership, and put some tires on some wheels. I actually put the tires on the wheels at my house, and I was blowing the second of the two wheels up, and I was being a dumbass sitting on top of the tire when I was blowing it up, or I was close to it. I was holding the air chuck, and the wheel exploded, and should have killed me. But that was my first experience with God, that day, that time, that instant, and that second. It was like slow motion. I saw the wheel coming apart, and I could see the weld pulling apart from the backside. It was disfiguring the wheel. And all of a sudden, it felt like somebody grabbed me from behind and pulled me off the wheel. And I saw the rim come apart, and I tried to pull my arm out of the way, and it snapped my arm off at the elbow and blew me through the ceiling and on the other side of one of the cars against the roll-up door that was in the shop. It blew all my fingertips off, so there was a lot of blood and a lot of, you know, the arm was hanging off, and it was nasty. And it was the worst pain that I ever experienced in my life. And I remember this guy Richard that had a cabinet shop. He came over and he looked at my arm and he threw up on the ground. And I knew it was bad. And this lady that I'd never met before, she had a unit coupled down from me. I don't know exactly what they did there, but she came out and she held my hand and prayed for me. And the pain sort of stopped for a little bit, and it was manageable until I got to the hospital. And it was a pretty bad experience. But I was different after that experience. Something happened that day. And it was the first day that I realized that there was somebody watching over me. And it makes me feel bad. I don't ever judge anybody. I try never to thumbs down a video or judge anything that somebody puts up. But it's hard when somebody makes a video and says there's no God. It's probably one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. We all have owner's manuals in our cars, but we never look at them until the car breaks. The Bible is an owner manual for your soul. You can choose to use it. You don't have to use it. You'll have breakdowns along the way, and sooner or later you'll crack it open and look at it. Anyway, I always have that comfort behind me knowing that, you know, I'll be okay. And God's provided for my family over and over and over again. I should no way, no how live the lifestyle that I live. And I live in a really nice house. I got 3 beautiful kids. I've got a wife that loves me. And I think a lot of that is through the glory of God. And I think there's nothing wrong with giving God His glory. And I think His influence in your life is for the better. And don't be so quick to denounce Him and think that He's not real, because it could be the biggest mistake you ever make in your life. We've all been wrong about things before, and it could be the worst thing that you've ever been wrong about. So just reconsider it. We all find it our own way. You have to have your heart open to it.
And when you cry out like a child, your father usually answers you. I don't have a father, so I've always talked to God, even when I was a kid. I would talk to him when I was a little kid. And I think he's always watched over me, even before I got it. I just thought I'd share that little story with you. Probably somebody that doesn't like it, I'm sure. You can thumbs down it. That's cool. Doesn't bother me. I thought I would share it with you though, because it's my story. It's what happened. And, it's what I have to carry around with me, man. It's just something that happened to me. I mean, you sort of know when something happens. I know somebody grabbed me off that tire, and it scared me enough to change the way I was living. So anyway, back to the 2110. Here's our 4130 Chinese crank. We got some scat rods, we got some scat lifters. We're gonna go with a C45 in this. I think it's about 500 and something lift with a set of 1.4s on it. And should run pretty good. Should be a pretty decent engine. I'm gonna buy a bigger sump. I have a 1 quart sump here. I might send that to Greg. See if he wants to put it on the Gia. And I might buy a 4 quart sump for this motor just to have 8 quarts of oil in it. So or 7 or whatever, 7 quarts, yeah. It's better than 3. It's easier to control the oil temperature. But anyway, hopefully I didn't freak any of you guys out with that one. But I like to make a variety of different videos here, so you never know what you're going to get when you watch the vwdarrin show. But all those stories are true. I could tell you some of the dark ones, but I'd rather not relive that time of my life. So anyway, hopefully this vlog isn't too offbeat for you. I know you guys are just looking at white towels with car pouring on them there, but let's unbox the cylinders real quick. I think I'll turn the camera off because it'll be a long ass video if I don't. And yeah, so tomorrow I go to the doctor's again for the last MRI, and I'm gonna get this shit fixed. We're gonna get both surgeries at one time, and I think that I'm gonna be good. I feel good about it. I was scared last time. I'm not too scared this time. I had my reservations, and they were good ones. You should go with your gut feeling. Sometimes your instincts are better than your judgment. Anyway, Andrew's back home now, so I'm probably gonna go inside. Got some stuff moved around today. Got that out of there. I got to clean all this crap up, and got to put that lathe somewhere. Oh, I'm gonna go black and white here. I might keep exposing you to fluorescent. But anyway, I got some organizing to do. I need to get my son out here to help me. He's got a job now, so I don't get to spend as much time with him, and he doesn't get to help me in the shop too much anymore, which is sucks. So I wish I had more money and I could pay him to hang out with me. That's sad. All right, guys. Have a good one. Push the record button. I'll talk to you guys later. What's up, Snail?
I have a question for you.
What?
If I was to create you a t-shirt design, would you pay me for the design?
No.
Yes.
No? Where do you think you get your creativity from? Your mom?
My mind.
Oh, your mind. Oh, all right.
In Photoshop.
Photoshop. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a good night, and don't forget, push that record button. Like and subscribe too.